Welcome to the Urban Wall Street Project. I'm your host, Earl Christian III. Today we're going to talk about some more ways to understand what's going on with our economics. The beautiful thing about life is you always have a chance to correct it. So today I want to talk about a few things, and I have one particular question I want to ask my audience. When it comes down to your savings, when it comes time to your retirement, what's inside your piggy bank? If you had to retire today and you had to, sustain your lifestyle and maintain your family's plans and your family's futures, would you be able to? It's a serious topic, and I want to talk about it. Unfortunately, a lot of us are not saving the amounts of money that we should be saving. A lot of us are not even saving any money. And across the map, it's a serious, serious situation. So I want to address my people in urban America and recognize what we need to begin doing so that when it all comes down, we have some form of nest egg. We're not going to be left out there. Unfortunately, a lot of people are still relying upon the government. They think the government's going to be able to hold us down. The government's going to take care of me. I got the Social Security. I have my pension and 401k plans. And though those things in the past have been beneficial, and they have been what has sustained people after they finished working or they retired and moved on to the next level of their life, we all realize right now that a lot of the financial, not obstacles, but some of the financial carriers that we've had, or the financial baskets that we've had in the past, are no longer there. So I really want to address it because urban America, we're in a critical financial state. So, as I said before, what's in your piggy bank? You might say, what's in my piggy bank? I have a little bit of money in the savings account. I have a little bit of money stashed. Well, let's talk about this. Recently, I learned that the nation is in one of the worst economic states with regard to saving money. According to the nation's Commerce Department, do you know that right now, the savings rate for the nation, well, as of 2006, was a negative 1%. The nation's savings rate was a negative 1%. That's an amazing thing. And the reality is this. That's the lowest the rate has ever been in 73 years. The last time we've seen the negative rate like that, or it dipped into the negative as far as our savings rate, was during the time of the Great Depression, 1932. So are we to believe that though it seems that we have so much economic gain and so many things are happening and so much money is being made, that we are in all actuality in the same economic peril as we were in 1932 during the Great Depression? So for some of us, that might not be the case. But for urban America, it's a situation. I'm learning and understanding why it's that way. Well, unfortunately, we spend more than we make. We know it. We get our paychecks on Friday. We get our paychecks every 2 weeks or monthly, and we're spending. We're being driven by our emotions as opposed to logic. And when I say that, what do I mean? Logically speaking, if you get a $500 check, it wouldn't be logical to spend $200 on a pair of sneakers or $200 on a video console or $200 on a jacket or $200 on a bottle of Cavassier or Hennessy or whatever the case may be. But we want to live that lifestyle. We live as if there's no tomorrow, or we live as if tomorrow is going to be taken care of. Tomorrow is not going to be taken care of if you're not the one taking care of it. Understand that out of both groups, young and poor, 18 to 49, 42% say they're spending more than they can afford. So what does that mean? We're spending more money than we can afford. Now, I recently had a show talking about the ABCs of financial planning. And the purpose of that show was to get people to recognize how to begin saving their money. See, the reality is this. In 15, 20, 25 years, Social Security may not be there. 401k plans may not be there. So, more and more, what a lot of individuals are realizing is that your retirement plan, your retirement savings, your retirement nest egg is your savings right now. So if you look in your savings account and you have $3, that's your retirement package. If you look in your savings account and you have negative $5, then that means when you retire, or if you had to retire today, you can't even sustain past one single day. That's a serious situation. You know, I was talking to a few young people, and they feel like, and they say the same things. Well, I'm going to be paid. I'm going to have mine. I'm going to get mine. It's all love. But the reality is, how are you going to get it? Where's it going to come from? Is it going to come from your employer? A lot of employers don't even offer 401k plans right now. And if you're not with a certain type of company, that's not even an option. We talked about the ABCs of financial planning and some of the loopholes that you can, be abreast of, and then some of the pitfalls that many of us fall into. No longer is the government going to hold you down. No longer can we depend on the government for our financial future. So some of us say, but we pay taxes. I pay taxes, and I'm a citizen. What am I supposed to do? And that's a good question. What are you supposed to do? Or more rather, what are you going to do? Hopefully, you've been paying attention to the Urban Wall Street Project. Hopefully, you've been paying attention to some of the wealth principles. You've been learning how to maximize your dollar. Hopefully, you recognize and you remember what an asset is, what a liability is. Key principle. In order to maximize your money and make sure you can sustain your lifestyle and your family's lifestyle, you have to make sure you have more assets than liabilities. Question. Do you know how to read a financial statement? That's a major, major, major question that you need to be able to ask yourself when it comes to managing your financial future. Do you understand taxes? Do you understand interest? The reality is, most of us don't. Some of us just want to get a good job, a $30,000, $35,000 job. Well, do you realize that out of the households in America earning $30,000 or below, 45% of them are in the same situation as the 42% of the individuals 18 or 49 that are spending more than they're making? That's a serious situation. $30,000 seems like that's pretty good. But if you have a couple of kids and a mortgage or apartment or a car note, you're in a tough, tough spot. And we know this. We know this. So what can we do? Understand that last year, or I should say a couple of years back, or whatever the case may be, reality is in 2005, the nation's savings rate was a negative 0.4%. In 2006, it was a negative 1%. That means in 1 year, the negative rate almost doubled. So our lack of savings doubled, though our spending increased. So what's happening? Basically, individuals are spending all of their money they have left after paying taxes. Now let's talk about that. You get your check, the taxes are gone, and then you spend everything else. I want to ask you a question. Do you know what the average American's greatest expenses are? Some people might say, it's my car note. Some people might say, it's my mortgage. Some people might say, it's my child's college education. The average American's greatest expenses are taxes and interest on debt. Taxes and interest on debt. You say, well, how is that? Well, how is my interest on my debt my greatest expense? Well, look at it from a perspective of a long-term problem. A lot of times we want to make more money. We get a better job, we get a promotion. But as you get a better job or a more promotion, that generally means more revenues coming into your pocket. But unfortunately, with more revenue, we tend to spend more money. Or we get a bigger home, or we get a better car, or we take greater vacations. And all of those things have interest. A home has interest. A car note has interest. So as we increase our spending, or we increase our financial burdens, we are also increasing our debt. The reality is we will always have a greater interest on our accrued debt. So it's very important that you begin to understand your interest rate, your debt. A lot of times you might look at a credit card and, oh, this seems like a pretty good deal, 8%. But unless you know how to really read the numbers, you might not understand that 8% is actually 23% at the end of the year. That's a serious situation. You got to pay attention to that. A lot of times you think you're getting an incentive, you're getting a tax break by buying a new home. But the reality is, if you buy a new home, you're increasing your debt because the home is going to cost more. And if the home costs more, then the interest on the loan or the interest on whatever money you're spending for that home is going to increase. So now here we find ourselves making more money, increasing our spending, and increasing our interest as well as our taxes. Because the more money you make, the more you're going to pay in taxes. The more things you finance, the more money you're going to pay in interest. So it's very important to know that. You have to realize that your greatest expenses are your interest and your taxes. Interest on your debt and your taxes. So looking at yourself right now, you have to be willing to accept your reality. What's in your piggy bank? What's in my savings? If I had to stop working right now, could I sustain on what I've saved? Could I sustain on what's in my 401k? Will Social Security be enough to get me by? The reality for many of us is it isn't. So how do we begin addressing this issue? You have to start saving, my brothers and sisters. It's just that simple. A gentleman told me one time, and he was a security guard, and and he has to make ends meet, and he said, I started something real simple. And this is the plan, he said. He went to the store, and he bought a box of envelopes, 100 envelopes. And every week, he put $20 in one envelope. Took the envelope out, put $20 in it, put it back. Every week he would do that. Every week he did that. Well, if you do that for 52 weeks, you're probably going to be looking at $1,040. $1,040 at the end of 12 months. Now, $1,000 is not a lot, but understand that $1,000 at the end of 12 months that you can put towards your investments or your financial plan or your retirement is a nest egg. Because if you put it in the right place, it can develop into something. But that was just $20. Imagine now that's just somebody making, a security paycheck. Imagine if you were able to put away $50 or $100. The reality is this. We all can save some money. The reality is this. We all better begin to save some money. Because, once again, that is what's going to sustain your lifestyle. Do not become 55, 60, 63 years old and retire thinking that the government is going to be able to cut a check every month for you. We see right now, and we hear right now that Social Security may not be there, may or may not be there. Are you willing to take the chance? Were you willing to put your child's educational future on the fact that these monies might be able to be allocated? The reality is this. The government is shifting the burden of the finances on the individuals. It's now up to us to make sure we are responsible for our financial futures. Now, retirement. I talk to some young individuals, retire. I'm only 20 years old. I'm good. But we know how fast 20 years can go by. The Million Man March was 1995. That was almost 12 years ago. Tupac Shakur has been dead for over a decade. Biggie's been dead for over a decade. That's 10 years. How much money might have you been able to save in 10 years? If you had done that simple plan that I just stated with regards to saving $20 a week over a 10-year period, that might be $10,000. With that $10,000, now you can begin to invest, maybe get into real estate, maybe get into stocks, maybe get into bonds, or maybe sit with an advisor that can teach you some financial principles and some wealth principles that will enable you to maximize that $10,000 or that $20 a week. It's very simple, but you got to have some discipline. You have to know that it's really all about me. See, the long-term problem is this. We will spend, and we will accrue our debt. Retirement, I'm not worried about it, but the reality is this. At some point in time, you do want to retire. Some people want to retire at 35. Some people want to retire at 55. Some people want to retire as soon as they get a job, but that's not an option. So how can we begin? Once again, start saving. Alleviate fear. Don't be afraid to save some money. Don't be afraid that you're not going to have enough to get by, because the reality is many of us don't have enough to get by. Understand what I said. 42% of the young and the poor are spending more than they can afford. Between the ages of 18 and 49, almost 45% are spending more than they can afford. That's close to half of that population. So if half of that population is spending more than they can afford, where will they be in 10 years? Where will you be in 10 years? That's the question. You know, here at the Urban Wall Street Project, we talk about financial literacy, because financial literacy and your, how should I say, your level of financial literacy is the only thing that's going to save you. It's the only thing that's going to make you be able to sustain your lifestyle. So what should we do? Well, as I stated previously, you have to get your assets in order. So what's an asset? If you haven't heard before, I'll say it again. An asset is anything that throws off money. It generates money. What's a liability? Liability is things that cost you money. Now, what you want to do is sit with a financial planner, financial consultant, financial investor. Sit with someone that knows a little bit more about saving than you. Because the reality is if you don't, you're going to be in a real situation. Number two, don't take investment and saving tips from someone who's maybe in the same financial state as you. Because if they knew the key to saving money and maintaining their money, then they wouldn't be in the same situation that you are. So you have to make sure you get advice from people who are, how should I say, legitimate people that can give you advice. Sometimes it's hard because we don't know that individual. But we have a plethora of information. You can go online. You can go to a library. You can talk to your banker. You can talk to your tax preparer. There's a lot of different people, but you have to begin to start asking questions. At the Urban Wall Street Project, one thing I've created, what I've done, is a system to maximize our urban dollar, to put more money in piggy banks. I recently partnered with a major telecommunications company. And this partnership will see so much money being redirected to the community. And when I say that, I mean 10,000 subscribers for a service is $1 million that can come back to the community via the Urban Wall Street Project. That's a serious situation. We are creating economic infrastructures. I spoke about the Black Wall Street of the early 1900s and how they were able to be self-sustaining. That was an economic infrastructure. We can have the same things now. How do I know that? Because many other communities have it. Asian communities have it. Jewish communities have it. Suburban communities have it. Some Hispanic communities have it in different regions. But urban America as a whole, we don't have it. Now, we know we're spending $1.2 trillion a year. Remember, $1.2 trillion a year, but we don't have any savings. The average urban American earning $100,000 a year has less than $5,000 in their savings account. Less than $5,000 in your savings account, earning $100,000 a year. What are you doing with your money? What do you think is going to happen in the future? I implore you, start doing your homework. Do your due diligence. Save more, spend less. Well, I have my money in the bank. I have my money in the savings account. My money's in the bank is good. Well, let me tell you something about banks. Having your money in the bank, yes, it's a good thing. We'll not say it's not. But I want you to understand how the bank is making money or for your money. It's really important that you put yourself in a position to make money like the bank. Understand this, and this is real. For every dollar that you put into the bank, depending on that state's laws and regulations, that bank can lend $10 to $20 on your dollar note. So on your $1 note, that bank could turn it into $10 or $20 for them instantaneously, like magic. So you put $1 in the bank, and the average banks pay 5%. So $100 sitting in the bank is going to earn $5 at the end of a year. But think about this, and I'll put it in the smallest number so you can understand how the exponential growth can occur for banks with all of our monies in them. You put $1 in the bank. The bank is going to pay you 5% interest on your $1 note. That means a nickel for you having $1. Now you might say, well, that's all right. I'll take that nickel. But think about this. Someone else comes in the bank and they want to borrow $20. And I'm giving small numbers. Of course, we don't go to the bank to borrow $20, but I want to keep the numbers small. You can do the math yourself to see how it can expound and grow. So someone comes in and borrows $20. The bank lends them $20, and they charge them 19% interest on that loan. So they got your dollar in the savings. They lend $20 based on your $1 note because they can do that. Now, they're charging this person 19% interest. So what is that saying? Well, they're going to pay you 5% on your dollar. So you're going to make a nickel. They're going to charge that individual 19% on that $20. So now they're getting back $1.90. So off of your $1 that's sitting in the bank, they're going to pay you 5 cents, and then they're going to keep the $1.85 to themselves. Think about that. From your dollar, you make a nickel, but the bank makes $1.85 minimum. So you can do the numbers, and if it was $100, or if it was $5,000, or $1,000, or $10,000, just imagine. You want to get smarter. It makes no sense to have your money sitting in a bank earning 5% when you can put it in another monetary or investment vehicle that can generate anywhere between 15% for you. You want to maximize your money. Think about all the money we spend in our communities. It's time that we start commanding a little bit more. Because if you command a little bit more, that little bit more might come back into your piggy bank. So when I say piggy bank, I'm not necessarily only speaking of within your account. We're talking about as a community. What's in the community's account? What's in the school account? What's in the church account? We have to be very, very conscious of how we're saving our money. Okay? It's very important. The reality is this. We all want to have fun. We want to enjoy our lives. And that's what it's all about, because that's what you are placed on in the world to do. But we have to be conscious. Wealthy individuals, affluent individuals know how to make their money work for them. You need to know how to make your money work for you. You need to know how much money is in my account. How much money is in my savings? How much money is in my child savings? Do I have a Christmas club? Do I have a summer club? Do I have a vacation account? You have to start maximizing your money. Because if you get your $500 check or your $1,000 check or your $2,000 check on Friday, and you pay your rent and you pay your taxes, of course, and you pay all your other bills, and at the end of the day you're left with $500, $600, and you're like, well, shoot, I spent all this money. I'm going to treat myself, and I go buy a $100 shirt or a $100 this, and I put $50 in my account. That's not a good situation. You have to put more money away. Think about it. I'm pretty confident that every single person watching this telecast, every single person can try this. $20 a week, $10 a week, $5 a week. The bottom line is have a little bit of something left over at the end of the year that you can put towards something else. You can really start a nice investment club with $1,000. It's not a lot, but you can get it started. If you can do more, do more. Imagine if you were able to save $200 a month. $200 a month over the course of a year, that's $2,400. You can definitely do something with $2,400. Some people say, I want to get into stocks. I'm going to get into investment. You have to learn that. You have to be learned in those areas. Because just having stocks is not going to make you money. If you have a little bit of money in each different stock, you're not going to have money. What do wealthy people do? Focus. They focus their money so that their piggy banks can grow. Now, the hardest thing about saving money is saving the money. Something's always going to come up. I need this for that. I need to use a little bit for this. I'll put it back. How many times do we really put it back? Rarely do we put the money back. And we say, I'll put it back the next. I'll put it back the next time. But something's always going to come up. Wealthy people have discipline. Wealthy individuals have focus. People who are financially stable sacrifice. That's another big thing. A savings means you're sacrificing. You have to be able to sacrifice for the greater cause. What's the greater cause? The greater cause is my retirement. The greater cause is my child's education. The greater cause is that home I want to purchase. The greater cause, minimizing my debt. I want to save an extra $1,000 at the end of the year so when Christmas comes, I don't have to beat up my credit cards and then utilize my entire tax refund check to pay off, or whatever the next 3 or 4 checks in the first part of the year. Have something left over. Understand that life is real. Understand money, in all its sense and purpose, is not. You can't touch it directly. You can put your hand on a few dollars, but the majority of the money that you want, you can't touch. You want to be a millionaire, you want to be a billionaire. Average billionaire can't just put their hands on $1 billion. They don't wake up in the morning and put their hand on $1 billion. But know that in some way, shape, or form, that money's in their piggy bank. Whether it's in stocks, whether it's in bonds, whether it's in real estate, whether it's IRAs, their money is saved in some way, shape, or form. So with that said, I want you to understand something, urban America. Get control of your finances. Get control of your money management. Start recognizing what you need to do to maintain and sustain your future. Because the reality is this. The future is coming. The question you're going to have to ask yourself is, am I prepared for it? Once again, you've been watching the Urban Wall Street Project. I hope you have some money in your piggy bank. If you don't have any money in your piggy bank, I hope you starting right now. Start with $1. Start with 25 cents. Start with $5. Whatever you feel you can afford. It's never too little to begin, and it's never too late to begin. Remember that. Your financial future, your retirement plan, is whatever money you have in the bank. You've been watching us. Hopefully you learned something. Keep your head up, and stay tuned. Peace.